Today we're cutting a corner lock mold of a coin-shaped master. The blue heat-cured silicone rubber is from Castaldo. It's their very low temperature um, rubber. I tried vulcanizing it at 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Seemed to work out fine. Didn't come out sticky. It came out nice and solid. This rubber is nice and slick and quite easy to cut. I'm using a curved scalpel blade in my right hand, and you notice I don't have any gloves or any protection for my fingers on. It's because I've taught myself to cut these molds and just cut the molds after having cut myself many times over the years. Anyway, I'm very careful. Notice the index finger on my right hand. The index finger maintains contact with the mold and works as a pivot to help me control the blade of the knife so that the knife doesn't pop out of the mold and doesn't fly around uncontrollably. So just notice that my index finger is on the edge of the mold. My right index finger is almost always touching the mold when the blade is in the mold. So my cuts are all made just mostly by pulling the knife through the rubber with the last two fingers on my right hand and by using a twist of the wrist. These corner lock molds are often cut with a straight scalpel blade, and that's the way I was taught to cut. I've just over the years used the curved scalpel blade so often that I really love it. So you've seen that I cut two sides of the mold, pry the mold open, and then I cut the top of the lock, and then I cut the back of the lock. So it's basically a four-step lock. And you'll see too that I move progressively through the mold. First I cut one side of the mold, and I'll cut down that little brownish rod that you see sticking out of the mold is the sprue, and I try not to touch it with the tip of the knife because of course touching metal with the scalpel blade dulls the blade. And I just pulled a little extra scrap of rubber off there. But if you could see the tip of that brown sprue, you'd see that I had faceted it. I filed a little flat spot on it, and now that flat spot is facing us, and it shows me where the top of the mold is. I've turned the mold over now, and I'm cutting the mold so that the parting mark, the place where the two parts of the mold are going to come together, is right at the corner of my model. And so if I happen to end up with a parting mark, it's going to be right on the edge of the design. And that allows me, once it's cast, well, if I'm cleaning up the wax in the wax, then it's easier for me to clean the edge of the design. And if I'm cleaning it up in my tumbler, the grit in the tumbler will tend to attack the sharpest points on the model. So we put our parting marks on the corners or on the edges of the design rather on a large flat part of the design to speed cleanup, to help us with cleanup. But you can see that I just progress cut by cut by cut, little bits through the mold. I don't take too wide or too large of a cut, but then again I don't nibble away at the mold either, because each time you begin and end a cut next to the master, you can end up with creating a little parting mark, a little bump in the line that goes around the edge of the wax where the two parts of the mold meet. So here we go. We're finished with cutting this mold, and you can see the master. It's silver, coin-shaped, the sprue on it. Also, it's quite white. Natural rubber will oxidize silver, but in this case, the silicone left the master quite clean. So thanks for watching the corner lock mold with a coin shape in it. Please come to flexiblejewelrymolds.com to see more about jewelry mold cutting. Thanks for watching.